What's up, guys? My name's Noah. I make music as Haterade, and you are watching The Productive Producer. So I wanted to make today's video based on finding vocals and getting them to fit inside your song. So I know a lot of you guys, newer guys, who are trying to learn how to mix vocals into your song. You might find an acapella, a cool splice loop, and get it into your track, and it just doesn't seem to fit. Well, we're going to be talking about that today, and we're going to start by going into Splice and sort of searching around and trying to find a couple of cool options, and then move into actually mixing them into the track. So before we do that, go grab my finishing music checklist in the description of this video. It's free. It is chocked full of information on how to finish more music, on how to finish music faster. Go check that out. It's helped a lot of people, and I'm sure it can help you too. All right, so let's look at Splice real quick. So if you're unfamiliar with Splice, Splice is a sample service that you can pay for. I think it's like $10 a month, and you get 150 individual downloads. It's awesome. It's just a revolutionary thing in the sample industry. And they have this great app. So if you want to go in, you want to download Splice, and if you sign up, I think there's a free trial. You could get it free for a week or something. But you want to pull up the app, and you'll want to go to browse right here. I'll search for, you'll just call vocal like that. And here's a couple of tips that I usually follow when I'm looking for vocals. I'm going to select vocals first as an instrument, hit save there. Then I'm going to go to tags, and this is important. I want to go to dry and hooks. Another thing too, you want to dial this in by BPM. It's not really helpful to find the exact BPM because we could play around with like plus or minus a few. Usually if we're working at a tempo, let's say we're working at 140, that's our BPM. I'll usually search at 125 and then 165. Now we've narrowed it down to vocals, dry, meaning they don't have any effects, and they're in our BPM range. So you can dig through here, find a few of them, download them. All you need to do is click, drag, command tab, drag it over. So I've already got one already loaded in that I know is going to match the vibe of my song. Now, if you wanted to know, how do I know if it matches the vibe? I can't really tell you guys that in the video. It just has to feel right. Usually, if you're thinking if we listen to the instrumental here by itself, it's like a really, really subdued instrumental. It's not crazy. It's not big. So we want the vocals to sort of reflect that. So here's what I picked. Here's the vocal.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping.
These are the types of vocals we want to try to find, the ones that have a long duration. If it was only 4 bars or 8 bars, it's going to get old after a little bit. The first thing we need to do is we need to warp this vocal. We need to make sure it's in time. So I'm going to hit warp, and then I'm going to click on the segment BPM down here. Now, I want to make sure that this is not reflective of my project BPM. I see our project BPM is at 133. This is also at 133, but that's not the BPM of this vocal. We need to make sure it's set to 130. How did I know that? Well, it's usually printed on the sample file right here, but it'll also show up in Splice. It'll show up right here on the side. So after that, what do we do? Well, we need to make sure that it's in the right key. Now, the key that I'm writing in now is C major, and this one's going to be easy. This one's already in C sharp major, so I just need to bring it down -1. Now we need to focus on another thing, and that's the warp mode. I have my warp mode set to complex by default, but most people have it set to beats by default because that's how it ships out of the box. But I like to go to complex pro because of the quality. The quality in your vocal is going to sound so much better in Complex Pro, and you're going to have a little bit more control. And especially if you're working on some of those dramatic shifts, if maybe you're bringing your vocal down 7 or 5 semitones, it's going to sound grainy and weird if you're using one of these other algorithms. So try to use the Complex Pro algorithm. That's going to be your best bet. Now let's listen.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping. You're so pretty, everything I'm thinking. Baby, could you help me 'cause I'm freezing?
Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll off all these low frequencies here.
Yeah, I can even focus.
Now, there's not a lot. Probably get away with not rolling this off, but for some vocals, there's a lot of that low mid range content, and you don't want that in there. And I'll give this a little bit of a shelf up on the highs.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping.
And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go, I usually go and grab the multi-band compression preset here.
Yeah,
dial in the time and the amount to taste.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping.
Want to watch the headroom there, make sure we're not clipping. And then there's a couple of other things we can do that sort of are based on your style preference. One thing we could do right here is a Haas effect, basically grabbing a delay, turning the dry wet up all the way. We'll expand the filter there. We're going to unlink the left and the right, bring the left all the way down, and we're going to switch it from sync to time up here. Bring the left all the way down, and then shift the right up somewhere between 15 and 30 milliseconds. And that gives it this wide effect. Okay, listen, I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping.
Big difference there.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping.
Then we can go into the reverb here. We could use a room reverb. I like using the compressed room reverb. If you guys watch my videos, you guys know I love this reverb.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping. You're so pretty, everything I'm thinking.
Or we could use a hall reverb. I'm using Valhalla Vintage Verb for this, so using the vocal hall preset.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping. You're so pretty, everything I'm thinking.
And we can add a chorus on the back end too if we want to.
Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping. You're so pretty, everything I'm thinking. Baby, could you help me, 'cause I'm freezing. If you want to see me, it's 'cause you miss me. You say that you will love me every night and day.
I'm going to turn it down here on the multiband compression. And I'm going to turn the synths and the drums down a little bit as well. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to make room for the vocal without trying to turn the vocal up more. I want to try to make room for it in the mix by bringing everything else back. Hear how it sounds in the hook here?
Yeah, so easy to love. And I like when you say I'm the one. So easy to love. Easy to love. Yeah, so easy to love. And I like when you say so easy to love.
Okay, cool. I like that ending there. I'm going to actually grab this. I'm going to grab these 4 bars here and put them at the beginning. I think this might be cool. And then what we could do here too is we'll add a sort of a telephone effect, telephone vocal.
So easy to love. Yeah, easy to love, yeah.
Basically, this is just a bandpass with 2 resonant peaks there. I'm going to automate this off and then just paste this back into this gap right here after this hook.
So easy to love. Easy to love, yeah. So easy to love. Yeah, easy to love, yeah. Yeah, I can even focus on sleeping. You're so pretty, everything I'm thinking. Baby, could you help me, 'cause I'm freezing. If you want to see me, it's 'cause you miss me. You say that you will love me every night and day. And I promise you that I will do the same. I know that nobody will love you the same way.
And I think that's pretty good. I mean, shoot, the intro, like the vocal fits, it's in time. It's a pretty great track, and I think we can call this one done. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider clicking like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Putting new videos out every single Friday, never missing a Friday. We'll see you guys next week.